for a change?
I am talking to you.
Then get ready to explore the quantum possibilities. It's time to transform that outdated paradigm into something universal and new. Time to uncover the truth hidden beneath the veil of lies. A time to think outside the box as we link to a higher consciousness. Welcome to the awakening. And now the hosts of Broadcast Team Alpha, Nori Love and Augie Nost.
Oh my stars. Hello, prodigious pioneers of higher consciousness and oneness. How are you? It's another Tuesday night, but this is just not any Tuesday night. We have guests that are off the charts tonight. I'm so excited that I am not going to belabor the opening. I do, however, want to say thank you. Thank you so much. This was the biggest month ever for our donations, and it was such a delightful surprise. So we really want to thank you for your outpouring of love. And, you know, we must be doing something a little bit right. So thank you for that. You know how to reach us. You can reach us at broadcastteamalpha.com. We are on Facebook by the same name. We have some crazy memes going on there. You know, the usual stuff that happens on Facebook. And of course, we've got the Mastermind Connection, where we actually do a mastermind on Sunday. We do a sort of general one where we put forth our mind power together for a unified intention, fires, peace. We try to stay away from political stuff, but we do look for peace, well-being. And then at the 3:00 hour, that happens at 2:00 Eastern, we actually reach out in our own CE5-ish way, where we reach out to benevolent extraterrestrials and actually have made contact. So if you want to join us there or get information, just email us at themastermindconnection. Make sure you put the THE, please, at gmail.com. Augie?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this
so
is
excited.
Going to be interesting. We are going to do, we're going to do a UFO extraterrestrial roundtable. And I can't think of any more knowledgeable and more in the expert arena than the two people we have with us. An old friend, I'm not saying he's old, he's just a friend, Dan Willis, and also Doug Auld. I hope I pronounced that right. We have kind of, broadcast him up, but we've been on the cutting edge of that, but we haven't done much with the UFO issue lately. So this is going to be an opening for what is going on right now. I want to say a few things about our two guests first, just a little bit. Dan Willis, he has been on both sides of the secret veil of what we call classified information. He was one of the Disclosure Project's top secret military witnesses that testified at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. in 2001. Highly publicized, and it was all in front of media. And of course, they did their best to whitewash it and make it go away. But a lot of the information that come out there have stood its test of time. So this is it's still relevant. He has also spent years traveling the world, investigating and proving and trying to bring forward free energy. And some of that free energy may have extraterrestrial origins, and we're going to hear about that. And that's why I want to talk to Dan also. I want to have him talk a little bit about what would our society be like if all these technologies was released to us. Man, oh man, we can only imagine. And then we have Doug Auld with us. He's an artist and a painter. He paints whistleblowers.
Uh-huh.
And whistleblowers, they are those people that sometimes get in trouble. And he's got I didn't count them, but it's got to be about 100 pictures of people that he has painted. He probably knows more about whistleblowers than anybody, and what they have come forward with, what they speak on, and what the evidence of extraterrestrial presence and UFOs than probably anybody. Mm-hmm. And I found something on his website that really made a big difference in my way of thinking about things. And I'm just going to read it. It's short, a few lines. And it says on his website, few men are willing to brave the disapproval of their fellows, the censure of their colleagues, the wrath of their society. Moral courage is a rarer commodity than bravery in battle or great intelligence. Yet, it is one essential, vital quality for those who seek to change a world which yields most painfully to change. Now, that was taken from a quote by Robert F. Kennedy in 1966. And Doug wrote another thing on here. My decision to paint whistleblowers came from my examination of this exceptional group of people, willing to bring enormous controversy and upheaval upon themselves for seemingly little to no reward. Many of these people have lost careers, family, friends, or even their lives for their claims and actions. Some have been incarcerated, and most of them have endured varying degrees of scorn and ridicule. But he gives us one really big hope. And this you gotta hear. It says, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. Now, we have a deep thinker among us here. So welcome to the show, Doug and Dan.
Hi, Doug. Hi, Dan.
Hello there. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure to be here.
So good. So good to have you both. I think we have more than one deep thinker here.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think we have a chat room full. Yeah, everybody. So. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. There is so much to talk about, and there is some new things that has been happening over the last several months in the arena of UFOs and ET, and I'd like maybe for you to bring us up maybe a little bit to date, possibly about some of the government documents that come out. And I know there's been some mass sightings, and for not to speak about, a lot of the things that has happened on the East Coast lately, and I think over Paris, there was a mass sighting here about 2-3 weeks ago. There was about hundreds of them that were flying in circle. Same thing has happened in Mexico. And what is going on lately? Any one of you, grab this one and go with it.
Dan, please do it. Go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead, Doug.
Oh, we're not gonna have one of those, Dan.
You're on, Doug.
I really believe, Dan, you should, because I've really not, because all the work I've been doing on my show and things I've been studying, I haven't been following the most current of events in ufology, but I'll be happy to talk about all my sightings and everything that I have to contribute, the sightings that I had in Mexico, the sightings that I have here, the daytime sightings, and even the sightings that I've posted on my website for the audience to be able to look at, which are quite something when you can see daytime photos of things that are like very, very hard, if not impossible, to describe what they are. But as far as the latest things and so on, Dan, maybe you know a little bit more about that?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I'm not that pulled into the UFO topic. It's like, I know the extraterrestrials are here. I know we have our advanced spacecraft out there. There's no question about that. My interest has been more, my participation in the 2001 National Press Club, the largest event in the history of the National Press Club, where every one of us stated we're willing to testify under oath before a congressional hearing. What brought that about was because of our government being illegally infiltrated ever since the Eisenhower administration. And every single CIA director, president, or head of intelligence had been denied access, and that's actually what caused the event that I participated in. Was because the Admiral Wilson, who was the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, in the Pentagon, was shown these unacknowledged special access programs that have been reverse engineering this extraterrestrial technology for a long time. He was denied access, and he would have access if anyone. And so he, told Dr. Greer, who was gathering witnesses ever since he met with the CIA director James Woolsey, who was denied access. And what happened is 500 military intelligence witnesses, 20 of them were willing to go before the mainstream media of the world, which I was one of them, and state that we're willing to testify under oath before a congressional hearing. What the mainstream media, myself being an ex-ABC newsman, I've kind of taken aim at what has been keeping this secret, keeping our planet technologically hijacked. In the press club, we disclosed that we've had the technologies for 70 years, that we can prove we have zero-point energy, that we have the scientists willing to come forth, and that our presidents and CIA directors we had proof of have been illegally being denied access, on and on. I don't want to consume a whole lot of time because this is probably old news to some people, but, this is what, and we're at such a critical point in history right now, this month of October in the year 2020. It's such a crucial time because what's happened is they have infiltrated the mainstream media, our education. The people don't understand the history of how our world has formed into what it is today, and that's a major problem, because if the public doesn't understand this, they have been, bamboozled, hoodwinked into believing a particular reality, while another reality has been going on behind the scenes. And military intelligence operations that Eisenhower set up back in the 50s are becoming active recently. Anyway, that's where my interest is. I don't keep track of UFO sightings, but we know they're there.
Dan, since you are talking about that, could you bring out one of the incidents of the testimonies from 2001, maybe the most extravagant one that kind of points directly to a UFO or alien presence on Earth that maybe one of the people there testified to?
Well, Sergeant Clifford Stone, who was involved in retrieval cases, and when he had to retrieve, some of these crashes where there was living or dead extraterrestrials, he had a book that had 57 different extraterrestrial species. Some are carbon-based, some are silicone-based, and it was basically an instruction manual on how to treat these different beings that come here. And so this was back when he got out of the service back in 1989, they had categorized 57 different species. By now, I'm sure, it's quite expanded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I've heard about that book. In fact, the Russians have a similar one that I have had a look at, and they speak about many of the same species.
I'd like to also add, by the way, Dan's website is probably one of the best websites I've ever seen for the history of this entire story. I mean, if you want to see a database and a data bank going back to the 30s and 40s on up to today, Dan, I have to give you credit for your website and all the work you've done on there, because it's an amazing documentation of dates and events on up to this present day. I want to let...
Please tell us the website. What is the website?
Dan, you want to say it? I mean, I know it, but...
thewebmatrix.net. It was basically my own effort because a company wanted me to write an article on media control with the UFO issue, and I had to answer the question because I was dumbfounded with these other witnesses with 22 cameras in the back row and thinking I was part of a major world-changing event with what we were disclosing. And, here it is, 2 decades have gone by since that event. And, and so that is basically, I went from the year 1900 to present day and plugging in all the witness testimonies and all the documents. And after a while, the dots start to connect.
Mm-hmm. The webmatrix.com, right?
No, the webmatrix.net.
Net. Remember that, net.net, yeah. All right. Now, Doug, you were mentioning also that you had some local sightings up there where you are.
Yes. First of all, let me let everyone know that I'm just a person. I come at this as an average, everyday person, especially when I started this inquiry into UFOs. It's a very hard topic to believe, and it's a very hard topic to get others to believe in. So you're always going to be kind of outside and on the fringe, and people don't know how to receive this idea. They confuse the terminology. Like UFO means unidentified flying object. It doesn't mean a man from outer space or anything else. It means we haven't identified what we see in the sky, what we're looking at. Now, by process of elimination, we can say that, okay, we've gotten to the point we know it's not an insect, it's not a bird, it's not a helicopter, it's not an airplane. It can only be a number of things. It's not a balloon. And that's when you get into the very big question of, okay, what do we have here? And then some of the performances of these things, or the fact that they're silent, or the fact that they move against wind, or whatever the numbers of things is in the weather that you notice, makes them quite curious. And I've been studying these for a long time. I've been looking in the sky. I'm a sky watcher, and I really avidly watch the sky. And I noticed something which is fascinating. And Dan, I may have shared this with you at some point. The more I look, the more I bring intent. And intent is a very big word with me. The more I bring intent to seeing, the more I seem to see, the more objects seem to show up. And then when I get into this mode of time where I'm busy or preoccupied, or my mind is on other things and I forget to have that intent, I can watch the sky all day and I'll never see anything. So it's really makes you scratch your head about consciousness and your intent, and are we co-creators and things. I really am fascinated with all those topics. But I do have a place in Mexico also, and I live here in the Northeast, and I have a place in Playa del Carmen, Mexico, and I have a night vision setup, and I like to go to the roof of my place in Mexico and set it up and watch the sky, and I do that also home here. And I've caught many thing in the sky through night vision that seems to be very odd. But I've also caught a lot of daytime sightings, and I have them photographed and I have them on my website.
Yeah, what is your website?
So my website is www.dougauld.com. That's DOUGAULD.com. That's my art website. But a little secret part of that website that nobody knows about is DOUGAuld.com/UFO. And when you go to / when you put in the whole thing with the /UFO, you'll see 8 or 10 different shots of things from the daytime that I've actually had some pretty high level people look at and come to me and say there's no explanation, they don't know what it is. So those shots that I have not been figured out or demystified or explained in a normal sense. And anybody is free, if they ever want to contact me and discuss what they look like or what they think they are, they'd certainly be free to send an email to me. I'm sure my email is on my website at some point.
Oh, that's generous.
Yeah. Do you have fourth generation night vision goggles?
I actually have a setup that's called Luna, the Luna night vision with a great screen, got nice 7-inch screen monitor, and it's a Luna night visions. And I'll tell you, you put that on in a clear sky, and you see 1,000 more stars than you ever thought there were. Mm-hmm. And it's a really, really fascinating thing. I love it. I call it sky fishing. I like going sky fishing, and I'm always trolling for something that's and what we do is we look for things that take a trajectory and then stop or turn or freeze or make something other than an orbital look, which is because the conventional explanation to many of these things are they're satellites. And I would probably say that many, if not most, are, but they all aren't. And that's what we're looking for. I will say real quick that when I was in Mexico, I saw a pattern of like 7 stars in a V shape, and they were quite amazing, and it floated through the sky almost like stars in the sky without any sound. It was totally silent, and everything was transparent. It was like they were in unison.
Wow. Why a V shape? That's interesting.
That would be kind of like the Phoenix light then, somewhat similar, only there were more lights there.
A little bit like that, but it moved in proportion, and it turned, and it would turn off and roll off, and I could see it just going off into the distance after it leaned, and I couldn't tell if it was a solid object with lights on it or all individual lights. To me, it looked like it was transparent, and I saw it with my own eyes. It wasn't with. I had a witness friend too, saw it with me, my girlfriend at the time, and it wasn't. It wasn't something that made any sound, and it wasn't something that had a solid look to it. It looked like stars. If you could arrange stars in a triangle, and it moved beautifully through the sky. It's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Well,
were they radiant white, or did they have a blue cast? Or
it's hard to say. I can't quite remember, but I'll tell you that if you saw some bright stars in the sky, and then you just, not dull stars, but bright stars in the sky, and you saw them sort of all come together in a pattern and then move together, that's what it looked like. And that was one of the main sightings I've ever had that convinced me, no matter who tells me I'm full of it, no matter who tells me I don't know what I'm talking about, I know there's UFOs, unidentified flying objects.
Yeah, absolutely. I see we got only 30 seconds left here for the break, so let's go ahead and take a break now, and we will be back, and we will start discussing maybe a little more deeper into the subjects, like maybe what would our society also be like if we had been privy to the technologies that came from ET.
This is the Broadcast Team Alpha Show, hosted by Nori Love and Augie Nost. The one show that takes your doubts of the unknown and spins them into reality. Share your thoughts by calling our hotline number at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230.
Call now.
Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. More cutting-edge conversation and exploration of the quantum universe after this.
Looking for a radio show like no other?
We need something brand new.
Then tune into the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and get ready for The Quantum Shift. A great shift of consciousness is sweeping across the Earth. Are you ready for the dimensional shift?
It is amazing, is it not?
The Quantum Shift. Quantum Shift. Quantum Shift. Hosted by Dr. Sam Muggsy, Kent Dunn, and Gary Parson. Be part of the fifth dimensional reality, where consciousness prevails and the universal law of one is the only true reality. The Quantum Shift. Quantum Shift. Quantum Shift. Quantum Shift. Live Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Every year, around the world, thousands of golden retrievers are abused, abandoned, and neglected, and they need your help. Goldens Without Borders is a 501c3 not-for-profit company located in the heart of southern Nevada. They focus on golden retrievers in countries where neglect and mistreatment is of the worst imaginable. Even the smallest donations go a long way to saving a life and helping put these beautiful dogs into loving, forever homes. Come be a part of a network of people working hard to make the world a safer and more humane place for all living creatures. To make a donation, or if you're interested in adopting or fostering, please visit goldenswithoutborders.org. Goldens Without Borders, help make a difference today.
Great. It's great. I think it's great. I think it's
The all-new KCOR Digital Radio Network.
great.
Make a note of it.
It's great.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is your captain. I'd like to welcome you on Jackpot Airlines Flight 1610, service to Lost Wages.
They say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Well, apparently, they need a reality check done Vegas style.
Vegas, 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 Vegas.
Tune in Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, for Reality Check, hosted by Jessica Johns and Callie Otto, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Biggest star in the world, bigger than Britney and Christina put together.
If it's happening on the Vegas Strip, you'll know about it here first.
You are a dirty little fun haver.
Join Jessica Johns and Callie Otto as they explore and go behind the scenes of what's hot and what's not. From the best entertainment Vegas has to offer to national celebrity gossip.
That's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Jessica and Callie have their fingers on the heartbeat of the city and are waiting to share it with you. Reality Check, hosted by Jessica Johns and Callie Otto.
Yeah, baby.
Wednesday, 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern. They do Vegas right.
Going live.
Come explore the quantum possibilities. This is Broadcast Team Alpha. Broadcast Team Alpha. To be on the show live, call 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. Share your thoughts of the show on Twitter at KCOR Radio, # KCOR. Or join the cutting edge conversation live in our chat room at KCORradio.com. Now back to Broadcast Team Alpha with your free thinking hosts, Nori Love and Augie Nast.
And it's chat room shout out time. Shouties. Cute for it is here. Doc Who. I'm still suspicious of Doc Who, just for the record. Iowa Girl. Hello, Iowa. John is here. Kay is here. Linda Gould. Hi, Lynn. Lisa. The amazing Margaret is here. And Naj. Parked Cake. Rob. Shady D. My beautiful co-host from last week. Summer is here. Wave Rider is here. And if I missed you, please forgive me. Just say hey in the chat room and I will make it up to you. So I don't want to waste any more time hearing from me because Dan, psychological warfare, can we just talk a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah. Hi. Yeah, I'd like to, I don't ask anybody to believe anything, but I'd like to give a really super short, brief history lesson. just imagine if the Nazis back in World War II had a plan to infiltrate into the United States and make us think that we won the war, but they all escaped, and they had advanced technology of anti-gravity craft that they developed back in 1934. 20 years before the United States developed it in 1954, basically was able to infiltrate in, control education, control the mainstream media, control entertainment industry, to create a matrix of perception to hide their operations. They took over NASA to make us believe that we still needed to use rockets to go into space. They put in an Invention Secrecy Act that didn't allow anybody to come up with anti-gravity or free energy. They say all the years go by during the President Eisenhower's administration. They set up the Bilderberg meetings, and every year they decide who they're going to pick for going to be their compliant, leader of the country, and that during this time. They were able to threaten the Eisenhower administration into a surrender, and so that every president, CIA director in the future is denied access. Wow. And that Eisenhower tried to warn the public, but he set up a secret U.S. Marine Corps intelligence unit that would become active, act as a institutional safeguard to protect our constitutional republic in the future. And that in the year 2017, it became active and operating behind the scenes. Why? Because they completely control the mainstream media through the Bilderberg meetings, the Council on Foreign Relations, and the Trilateral Commission, so that all the mainstream media outlets are weaponized to hide this fact. And that today we have a weaponized public that is using psychological warfare, as you mentioned, in order to create this matrix of perception that the public has no idea. The military couldn't do a coup because they would immediately think there was like some hostile force. They didn't realize that the hostile force has infiltrated in and is controlling the population's perceptions. Anyway, that's my thought on psychological warfare.
Boy, sounds pretty involved.
And the mainstream media, they would call it a baseless, fringe, far-right conspiracy theory. Probably they call it a Nazi cult that is trying to come forward, where this group is basically just asking the public questions to do their own research. And then people are starting, and this is the biggest threat to them, because as the public starts to research this, they start to see, oh my God, this is true and this is true. And then all of a sudden it grows this huge movement that I can't even say the name of it because the station would get reprimanded. But you know what I'm talking about.
Can I add a little to this also, Dan?
Please.
It's one of my perceptions today why we are so incredibly divided. And this is just my opinion. Again, I can't prove anything to anybody. We're in such strange times right now. But I talk to people, and if they don't, even friends, I'm having a hard time getting, I think a lot of friends are killing each other these days. I mean, they're fighting so much, and people that were in agreement on so many things in past days, now that the heat is on, it seems like, and this presidential election is tearing people apart, add COVID to it. My instincts is that we are so far apart because many people do not have a backstory to the exact thing you're talking about, Dan. Many people do not even know what you're talking about. They've never heard of it. They've never heard of the Trilateral Commission or any of the other stuff you were talking about. The other letter that we can't mention, the bad letter, that we can't mention, is being debunked constantly. And so people will just hear it immediately and go, oh, isn't that a conspiracy theory? And this term, conspiracy theory, drives me crazy because as far as I know and read, conspiracy theory was a term coined during the 60s during the Kennedy assassination by the FBI. Correct. To cast doubt on anybody that has a thinking mind that has an alternative view or position on something. So if you can coin them a title of conspiracy theorist, then all your friends and people can easily put you in a box and get rid of you because it's too difficult to question authority. And so people right away go, oh, isn't that a conspiracy theory? So today, with all the stuff that I've studied, and I have dug into a lot of different stuff from Pizzagate to this and that. I saved all the emails. I have all the photos, the Podesta emails, the this, that, everything. Most people don't know much about that. They only heard about it, and then they covered it up and debunked it with that fake shooting in Washington at the pizza parlor or whatever, and said, look what happens when conspiracy theorists go mad and everything like that. There's such a divide between our population right now in what they've been read into or not, that we're at each other's throats. And it's one of the reasons why I can't even bother to debate with my friends on a political level today. I have to just forget it because they haven't looked at any of this stuff. So I just realized I am in a time right now where it's out of my hands and I just have to live my life best I can. I have to let it go.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, you go, Dan.
I was just going to say that the actual truth keeps its own best secrecy because it's so far removed from, and we're talking about that letter that follows the letter P, and that they are. They are so weaponized. They are thousands of accounts on YouTube, Twitter, and everything have been removed. They even passed a bill that denounces it, and in the text it actually says, people that question the 9/11 event and that think that aliens have landed, and they also did, this, it's like this. They are using all assets right now in order to fight this, because what it means is when this gets exposed, the entire system will start to I don't know how to say it, but
it's unraveling.
Yeah, it'll start unraveling, and indisputable evidence. So apparently, evidence is starting to come to light with John Durham. And we'll just stay tuned and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, look what happened with this Jeffrey Epstein thing. Don't tell me that you've got one of the highest profile criminals that you could ever think of, and he gets put into a jail cell and no one keeps an eye on him and there's no cameras, and somehow he's offed himself, and goodbye Jeffrey Epstein with all the information he had. Add that to the Jeffrey Weiner and Humadin and all these people with their hard drives. And what about the Ghislaine, what's her name? The other woman. Where Maxwell. Is all that? Maxwell. Where is all that information? All that ties together. Don't see. There's so many people, and I remember listening to a New York City detective of over 50 some odd years. He was retired. It was a fascinating show. And I remember listening to him, and he said, I tried all my life to get near this topic of child trafficking, pedophilia. And he said, the second you get close to this, even near close to this, somehow, whether it's judges or prosecutors or whatever, somehow it all falls apart. You just can't get any traction on it. And to me, that's one of the major secret things that is going on in this world right now that's holding this illusion up, is that topic.
Yeah.
So I know we couldn't really say, but we could pretend. So let's just pretend that maybe it's possible that JFK Jr. might show back up. In this make-believe scenario, do either of you think that might happen, or maybe even soon? Or
well, it's they talk about the Clinton body count, that, and we know that JFK Jr. was going up against the Senate seat with Hillary. And wouldn't it be interesting if he knew ahead of time they were going to try to whack him, and he staged his, faked his death, that something happened. But, it's just it's just a conspiracy theory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well,
For now.
we can certainly dream. And
Yes.
I do the narrative. I love the story. And it would be absolutely amazing. I mean, beyond amazing if that ever happened. I don't know, but it's quite a thing to just kind of have a fantasy over.
Exactly. It's my fantasy. Let me have it.
Yeah, me too. Hey, maybe even Elvis shows up. Who knows?
Yeah. Hey,
There's
and
a
then
lot of evidence for that one too.
What about whistleblower Seth Rich? I mean, Seth Rich was with the DNC, and he was magically shot in the back, where they said it was a robbery. He was coming out of a bar and he was robbed, but the police and authorities say nothing was taken from him, and he was holding a lot of the secrets of the DNC, count of the voting and all that kind of stuff. So what happened to Seth Rich? Young man, all of a sudden off, and murder never solved.
Just another count. Yeah. Hey, let's bring that back to the UFO issue again. I would love to hear you, Dan, talk a little bit about what would our society be like and what kind of technologies would we have if it was revealed to us what kind of technologies that has been gained from extraterrestrial vehicles or maybe something that we have made ourselves. How would we live? What would it be like?
Well, we had the scientists that were willing to go before an open congressional hearing that everybody could see and bring forth and put a zero-point energy device on the table and show that it works. The Bush administration, of course, denied the congressional hearing. And you look back at 1996 when Dr. Greer met with the CIA director, William Kobe, who was about to testify regarding the Israeli Mossad infiltrating the CIA and about child sex trafficking that the CIA was doing. He was going to, 1 week before he was floating face down, ruled a boating accident on the Potomac River, dead. He was going to deliver a zero-point energy device along with $50 million in order to get it out to the public. Now, this is, after the congressional hearing was denied, I volunteered because of my background, and I spent 10 years meeting with scientists and inventors all around the planet. Ever since the Invention Secrecy Act in 1951, thousands, way over 6,000 energy solutions. They have a secret system that anybody's got anti-gravity, free energy, or anything along that line, they automatically get issued what's called a national security order, which means you cannot reveal this to the public. And so we have technologies. And we have technologies, not only zero-point energy, so we don't need nuclear, oil, or coal. We can get rid of these dangerous, obsolete technologies, but technologies in health. And we can do away with the entire, all the pharmaceutical corporations. There is technologies across the board that have been purposely suppressed, and we have these witnesses with these scientists within these black projects that are unacknowledged. Admiral Wilson attempted to gain access to, and they denied him. That's what actually gave the green light to the event that I partaked in. But you can imagine, not only electric vehicles with onboard power plant, but we have anti-gravity. We don't even need roads. People can live in remote places on the planet, completely in harmony with nature and the planet, where you have all the power that you need. You have water. You can grow your own food. Health sciences are such that we understand the full vibrational, energetic nature of our beings and able to intervene energetically to correct every disease out there. There's a cure for. They have, and so all this has been withheld, and it's has to do with this infiltration that I spoke of a little bit earlier, in order to maintain, while they have extremely advanced technologies, as the UK hacker Gary McKinnon, who was inspired by the 2001 conference that I was at, he looked at the secret space program that the Navy has. The Navy had a program they launched back in the 1980s. They have, technology that looks like anything you've seen in Star Trek or science fiction movies. They know how to do. And that world is sitting with a thin veil of psychological warfare that's keeping the public from being aware of these technologies that are just outside of our grasp in this kind of Truman Show bubble world that we live in.
And Dan, to add to that, you're talking about toppling a monetary system. This is the big problem. There's a pecking order of billionaires, trillionaires, on down to the little guys, and they're holding a financial system over everybody by doing this. I mean, can you imagine tribes all around and different provinces of Africa having their own small power systems for each village, where nobody was dependent on anything, where nobody needed anybody for anything? You'd have no need for wars. You'd have no need for attacking each other. It's all about resources, and if resources were had by everybody, then nobody can hold power over anybody. And this is not something that's in my mind, that's easily going to come about. And most of technology, in my mind, is driven directly towards military, because it's like, if we have something, we don't want them to have it. If they're our enemies, then we have to have it and hide it from them. And it all trickles down from that. But I look at cell phones and computers and the technology we have today, and I think there's such a huge gap between what we used to have in my short lifetime to now. How did they ever come up with this stuff? And I don't know. I mean, to me it looks so much like the trickle down from off-planet technology. I mean, that's how I look at it. I'm not saying I'm right, but it really does look like it trickles down from something beyond us. And if you look at Philip Corso's book and what he talks about with Roswell and getting the technologies from those crafts in 1945 or 47, if you look at what's come since then, it really kind of fits the picture of that.
Mm. Yeah, and I think that also, if all these technologies were released, it could actually get to the point where humans did not need to work anymore, because there could be, plain and simple, robots doing the work. And we would just enjoy life, because from what we hear from other people that have had contact with extraterrestrials, that is what it is on other planets.
Yeah. And there's plenty of room on the planet to homestead the planet in remote areas, and you'd have your heating and cooling and power and everything that you need. I live off the grid in the remote mountains, the Siskiyou Mountains in Oregon. I love living independently, from the power companies, not shutting off power and all the things that they do. But that military intelligence unit that Eisenhower activated, they recruited somebody to run as president, and in order to operate, in order to come forward to liberate this planet. And right now there's basically a psychological warfare going on right now that is attempting to hide it. But
remember also what the head of the skunk works said, Seth Rich. No, it wasn't Seth Rich. I forget his name.
Ben Rich.
Yeah, that's right, Rich. He said, that whatever you see on Star Trek, we already know how to do, and it will take an act of God to be able to release this, so it become the benefit of mankind. So we know it's there.
Yeah, you have to ask yourself why he would say something like that. I mean, certainly didn't have to say something like that. So why would Ben Rich of Skunkworks say that? And he was basically, and he also intonated that, as my friend Grant Cameron would say, he also intonated the idea that that it's all done by way of consciousness. It's an ESP type of thing, and so yeah, I mean, I think it's there. I agree. I don't see how you're going to crack the machine, the military machine that holds all this proprietary information. I mean, that's something drastic would have to change to get that to be altered.
Yeah. And I see we have only 2.5 minutes left here. So for both of you, would you tell people where they can get all of your website, especially for the ones that joined us late? They need to know how to get a hold of you and see those pictures and the information you have on your websites.
Okay, well, I'll say that my website is my name. It's Doug Auld. So it's www.DougAuld.com. That's DougAuld.com. And you'll see all my art, all my whistleblower paintings, and a whole series of different various paintings, painting series that I did. But if you want to see my UFO photos, go to the same site and put /UFO after the .com. So www.DougAuld.com /UFO. And take a look at those photos. And anybody that wants any explanation or wants to discuss them with me or say what they think they are, I'm open to it. You can write me an email. On the front of my website, DougAuld.com, you'll see a contact link on the top, and you can go there and get in touch with me. Okay.
How about you, Dan? What is his website then?
Oh, his website, I remember it. It's thewebmatrix.net.
Yeah, and I've been there. It's some phenomenal information there.
Yeah, Dan just sent it in the chat box. I see it.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. And we will see you next week. And thank you, Dan Willis and Doug Auld, for being with us. It was wonderful.
It was wonderful.
Thanks for having me.
You've been listening to Broadcast Team Alpha.
Broadcast Team Alpha.
Hosted by Nori Love and Augie Nost. Every Tuesday night at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The balance of power is shifting to a new paradigm. Will you be ready? For more information on Broadcast Team Alpha, as well as the hosts, Nori Love and Augie Nost, please visit their website at broadcastteamalpha.com. Until next week, remember to keep those minds open while always exploring the endless quantum possibilities.
Broadcast Team Alpha. Over and out.
This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network, broadcasting from a shack just south of Area 51.
Wait, that doesn't exist.
This is the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Now for the news.